Enjoy Price's Highway, the podcast with Stephen Price and his guest Sarah the Bread Lady.
I feel bad. I didn't make a fire. I don't know how it works. So
It's a nice fireplace.
yeah, it's nice. But there's no flue or anything. It's for decoration.
You know, we should have recreated this like the Trump and Biden thing.
I'm actually really cool with not doing that.
So just put that in post.
Yeah, for sure. But just like the little sketch. So just do like a little, like on Paint or something.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, here we are in an undisclosed location next to a roaring fire.
Yes.
The one and only Bread Lady.
Hi, I'm here.
You were here. I'm here.
Yes.
We're on video for some reason.
You know, this is new. This is new for you.
Yeah. Well, the video isn't new for me, but being on video is new for me.
Well, yeah.
And you'd think as a video professional, we'd have a lot better angle than this.
You know what? Neither of us thought to bring a tripod, so we're just going with it. I'm okay with it. If it's not working, you figure out something that works.
Yeah, I didn't even think about putting this on video until like
5 minutes ago.
You know, why don't we just put this on this
I'm fine with that.
thing? I don't.
It's cool.
It's a lovely decoration
Yes.
that nobody can see.
You know
But
what?
we can see it.
I know. It just trust us. It's lovely. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
They put a lot of thought behind it. I'm sure.
So Sarah, I was going to say welcome, but thank you for having me here. What have you been up to?
You know, that's a loaded question. No, it's actually been pretty good. I've been you know, life sort of just like etch-a-sketched itself in like a really just sort of like everything sort of got shaken up a little bit. I moved. I am, you know, not married anymore. I'm an empty nester. So like all of these things have sort of changed. And so in the midst of that have sort of been like, you know what, I probably need to work on myself a little bit. So that's sort of been like the last couple of years. My inner child's like super happy now. But yeah, I think I've started doing food photography for a lot of other companies and businesses, not just food photography, but product photography as well. Because I wrote the cookbook and then I photographed the cookbook. And then I started taking other pictures, and then other people were like, oh my God, would you do this for me too? And I'm like, yeah, I super will. So started a company for that, but then the more that we're getting closer to the holidays and everything, people are like, hey, so what amount can I pay you to make me cinnamon rolls? And I'm like, oh, well, that was 5 messages and then like 10 and then 15 and then like 30 or 40 later. I'm like, dang it, you know, I miss it. I miss the people. Why am I not doing this kind of thing? And then a lot of other stuff started falling into place. And so that's kind of where we are right now.
All right. So for people at home who are watching this video, and a lot of people know who you are, but there's some people who don't. So let's go ahead and let's go back in the Wayback Machine.
The Wayback Machine. How far back are we going?
Let's when you moved to Spring Hill.
Okay, so that was end October-ish of 2014. And just sort of, it was kind of like a total reset because I moved from the West Coast. I'm afraid to talk about that C word. Most people get a bit out of shape when I talk about that state. But yeah, moved here, bought a house on vacation. 6 months later, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to bake for the farmer's market. And, you know, I saw other people were doing cakes and cupcakes out of their homes, but not a whole lot of people were doing bread. So I was like, well, why don't I just bake bread for the farmer's market? Because I really like baking bread. And then in like a couple of weeks, we had, you know, I had a couple thousand followers like immediately, which I'm like, are these people really hungry for bread or like what's going on here? And so immediately like started selling out, ended up baking at Ripavilla for 13 months, did more farmers markets, baked for restaurants, high-end restaurants. I eventually ended up in a storefront. We were selling thousands of cinnamon rolls. I was working like 100+ hour weeks, trying to like meet demand. We had a staff of, including, you know, my husband and my kid, it was like 15 employees, which was crazy.
And that was Spring Hill Bakery.
Spring Hill Bakery. Oh yeah, I haven't even said it. Yeah, Spring Hill Bakery. I created Spring Hill Bakery.
You created the community,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah.
You are to be thanked for bringing so many people together over delicious snacks, treats, and cinnamon rolls.
I mean, it was really about like making sure that people were like happy and like feeding people and having fun and sort of being everyone's like unofficial 30-something-year-old grandma. I'm like, what makes people happy? Baked goods make people happy in a way that a lot of other products don't. I mean, food in general, but there's just something about like a warm cinnamon roll that people just like, oh my God, I love that. So yeah, so it was sort of fun. I got to do a lot of really cool stuff, but like I miss the people most. I think that's been the big like gaping hole in like the thing that's been missing in my life is mostly the people.
So did you find that out when you're just, you're working on yourself?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
is that just something like, this is what's missing?
Yeah, which is really interesting because like factory settings for me is very introverted. When I was a kid, I was painfully shy. All my friends were books. I was just sort of that kind of person. And then when I moved out here, I'm like, I don't really have to be that anymore. And so whatever shell I was living in, I smashed it with a hammer and decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. So then when I started the bakery, and it was like creating this community and all these people, and they'd come in and like lavish with hugs. They'd let me hold their kids and, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I like this part. This part's super fun. And they'd find me at Tractor Supply and they'd come in their pajamas. I'd be like 100 points for you for just, you know what? Yeah. So yeah, and if you stay by yourself too long, all of a sudden you're like, do people even care anymore? Or you leave your house and without fail, someone grocery store, I'm getting gas, it doesn't matter. Somebody's like, oh my God, I miss you so much. I miss your cinnamon rolls. I miss your bakery. And I'm like, I stopped operations in like August of 21, and people are still in 2024 are still coming up to me and being like, oh, I miss you. I wish you were still doing this or whatever. And I'm like, I never thought that it would have this much of an impact on people, but the fact that it has been like, wow, and I never really thought I was done. I just needed to set things down enough to miss it and then also heal and like sleep more than 2 hours a night and like work on trying to figure out a way to compartmentalize this in my life so it wasn't all encompassing.
Right, because some people, don't know this, but the reason why you had to shut down location, Spring Hill Bakery, is because you had a health scare.
Oh, it was major. Yeah, I had like a migraine for a week. I woke up one morning and forgot I was brushing my teeth in the middle of brushing my teeth. I don't know how I got to work. I still don't know how I drove myself to work. And my staff essentially said, we need to take you to the hospital. And I remember walking in and forgetting while I was there. I'm standing in the emergency room, like waiting room area, talking to the chick at the front desk. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm here, but I think my brain is broken. So they were immediately like, we got to check her for stroke. They took me down, they did the whole scan or whatever. And they're like, your brain's healthy. Your stress is just like, we're surprised you haven't had a stroke or a heart attack yet. At like mid 30s. Like if you can imagine how much stress that is to be in your mid 30s and be in danger of having a stroke from the amount of stress, I mean, it was intense. So to sit there and think about, like that day I remember thinking, I'm not going to see my kid again. I'm not going to get to go to a wedding. I'm not going to get to like live beyond this. Am I going to get to see my parents again? Like all of those different things kind of flash through your mind of like, I'm here because either my brain or my heart is broken. I don't know which one it is kind of thing. And they're like, no, your stress is just so bad that if you come back again, it will probably be one of those two things. And it was like, okay, I need to take stock. On the outside, yes, we're doing extremely well. I was paying all my bills. We're a debt-free company. Making money wasn't an issue. Paying our staff wasn't an issue. All of that stuff was working. And we had this amazing community. It's just that I broke myself trying so hard to please people that it was like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore.
So who are you trying to please?
Right.
The customer?
The customer, myself, because I didn't want to let myself down. I'm like, I'm not going to fail at this. Everything, the numbers say it's working. Mm-hmm. The amount of people walking in every day is working.
And you're loving it.
I was super loving it, but at the same time, it was getting to the point where it was so overwhelming because I was afraid to say no to things.
It's a powerful word.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
But in the moment, it's like, no, I can't let anybody down. I can't let my, now ex-husband down. I can't let my kid down. I can't let the community down. I can't let anyone who's ordered down, anybody who calls on the phone. Like, it was to the point that where I could not answer the phone. I'm like, somebody else has to take care of this. I am beyond ability to make any sort of decision. Like, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating right. I was maybe having one meal a day, cookie dough, and an entire carafe of coffee, which is super unhealthy. That probably explains the other stuff, right? So working 100 to 110 hours a week, easy. Sleeping 2 hours a night, maybe. And I still had to clean a house, be a wife, be a mom. And I wasn't able to do any of that stuff well as also be this public figure. People use local celebrity. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not cool enough for that. But yeah, I guess it was sort of a public sort of thing. It was very public. I mean, my marriage was public because we were doing it together. Like, everything was public. And yet, anytime that I was having an issue, I never felt like I could say, I'm struggling. Like, it was somehow inappropriate for me to say I'm struggling. And so I kept all of that hidden, because during the year that we were open, we had a refrigerator breakdown in the middle of the night, and I had to replace everything that was in it. That's like $1,000 worth of whatever, right? I had chronic bronchitis, so I was using an inhaler. So between Christmas and Thanksgiving, I was on an inhaler. I had pneumonia, like walking pneumonia. And I was still baking, but it was the thing that it wasn't contagious. It was just that I had so much flour and inflammation in my lungs that I was constantly sick. So when you cough for a month straight, your ribs get really fragile. So then at the end of all of that, I had a thermocoupler go out in one of my ovens, and they bent down to check it because I had to get underneath it, and they broke a rib from having coughed so much, right? And it gets worse, because after 2 weeks of trying to heal from that, not being able to turn over in bed, I fell down a flight of stairs. So my whole rear end was completely bruised, and I'm still getting up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning and going and making 50 dozen cinnamon rolls. I can't sit down, and my ribs are killing me, and my rolling pin was this big, and I'm fighting through it, pain medication and all that other kind of stuff. That's also when keto was a really big thing. So people were coming in and being like, why don't you have keto bread? And I'm like, I don't want to. You can get buns a better way. Just buy them from me. It'll be great, you know?
So during all of this.
And I don't want it to sound like I'm complaining. It's just, I don't ever talk about this stuff. And so now it's like, in hindsight, I can be like, dang, I pushed myself way too hard. So anyway.
But you know, you're coughing to death. You're falling downstairs. At any point did you think, you know, this might be a little nudge from beyond?
Yeah, but again, it was still like, it was one of those things. It's like we had orders, we had the holiday season. I didn't want to let anyone down on Christmas morning or any of those other things. So it was sort of like, it's almost like I kind of, in a way, accepted that that's what it was. There was a week in August, like earlier August, that I'm like, I have to go. I have to get away. So we closed for a little bit. My staff kind of took care of things as we were getting back to reopen or whatever. But we went on vacation to the middle of Missouri, and I slept for a week. I slept for a whole week. Like, I mean, I got really familiar again with like The Price is Right in the hotel room, you know. But yeah, it was basically, it was this time away, and then shortly after I came back, it was the end of August that I had my spell and ended up in the emergency room. It was like, the week wasn't enough time for me to recuperate. It was just sort of a Band-Aid on a, you know, giant wound kind of thing. So, you know, so I think at that point, like, that was the major wake-up call. And whether it was universe or whatever, that was kind of like, okay, you still haven't learned, so let's go ahead and have your body just shut down on you. Because if you work hard enough, your body will eventually stop for you, so that it's almost like it's self-preservation in that way. It's
yeah,
like
that was my point.
your body overrides your mind, kind of thing. But yeah, so it took until that to finally realize, and then struggling that, because we closed about a month and a half later or something like that. Well, that was like August 30th, I think, 29th to 30th. And then made the decision a week before we closed on October 5th. So it was like a month and change or whatever. And then having to grapple with the fact that I had created such a good work environment for, aside from my ex, it was a staff of all women. So it was, and there was no drama. It was just, everyone could talk. They could give me suggestions. I will never claim to know everything. And people who've worked in other kitchens, they have far more experience than I do in a lot of senses. So please give me your ideas. Let's make this better for everyone. So I had to tell all of them, I have to close because I don't want to die. Mm-hmm. But it was that conversation. It wasn't we're just closing because willy-nilly. Because at that point, they're like, what happened? We're doing so well. Like, I know, but I can't do this anymore. And I didn't know at that point how to pull back so much. It's like I felt like I had to turn it off. It's like I had to completely stop the bleeding. And the bleeding was essentially my ability to take care of myself. I had to relearn how to exist, I guess, just as a human, not as a business owner, not as somebody who, shows up and is on and ready to, do all the things. So it was a lot.
So what did you do once you closed the bakery down? What did you do for the next 3 months?
Sleep. Actually, 2 days after I closed, I met with a really, really good friend, and she also owns a bakery in Nashville. She had a really rough weekend, so I'm like, she needs a hug, I need a hug, I'm gonna go see her. And then that was the day that she put into motion me talking to my eventual publisher. So that first month was me essentially coming up with a pitch that I could give to HarperCollins to get started on the book stuff. So that was that. I immediately started doing classes because I'm like, well, I have this building I have to pay a mortgage on, we bought the building, we hit the 1 year mark there and I bought the building. So I'm like, okay, I'm on the hook for a lot of stuff. So I started doing classes and it was coming up on the holidays and eating season. I'm like, I can't let these people down. I got to figure out a way to get them cinnamon rolls this year. So we did that and it was great. But so there wasn't a whole lot of downtime. It was like sleep, go buy all the stuff for the class, do the class, go home, crash. And then wake up the next day or a couple of days later whenever we had a book. And we had books, we had classes booked solid through Christmas. And then everyone who bought gift cards for classes, they were all booked through March of 2020. When the whole world got put on timeout, right?
I remember that month.
So that was the 6 months leading up to that.
Okay.
And then at that point, we had to cancel the classes because we weren't allowed to be around other people or whatever. And it was kind of oh no, what are we going to do? Because the mortgage payments don't stop, right? Right. So that's when we had the tornado. And in the midst of all the tornado, I'm like, okay, so my friend who ended up hooking me up with my publisher, her restaurant got hit in that, or her bakery got hit in that. And I'm like, I have to figure out a way to raise money to help her or anybody else that's up there. So I baked cookies, went up to Tractor Supply, good old Tractor Supply again, and it was like, donate what you can, here's some cookies. Took all that money, it was close to $2,000 or whatever it was that we raised in the course of an afternoon, filled the truck with supplies, went to Costco and everything else, and then drove it up to Nashville. And then immediately started getting messages, are you going to continue to bake? We miss you. And so that was like, how do I pay all my bills? So the Ding Dong Ditch started, which was essentially COVID-friendly delivery of baked goods, right? Because when people are sad, they go to things that they're familiar with and things that are comfort food. So immediately it was like, okay, we're going to bake. We're going to bake and we're going to make people happy. And it was so cool to just like, just to do that, and it turned it into a game. So people were ordering midweek and they were coming, and well we were delivering until we were clear to finally have people come and pick things up again, which was about Thanksgiving or so. We left a lot of time, and during all of that time, writing a book, photographing a book, I did end up with COVID at some point and lost taste and smell completely, and so I had to.
That's not good for a
not to
bakes for a
test
living. Yeah.
recipes. I know. So now I can't taste anything, so I can't test recipes anymore. I couldn't do any of that stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So at this point, did you think, wow, is this a nudge from beyond?
Oh, about that to stop all this stuff? No, it was just one of those things. I'm like, well, I guess I have to put that on hold. So I had to send that to my publisher and be like, hey, guess what? So food tastes like nothing right now. I can't smell anything. I have to put this on hold. I'll write everything else, all the stories and everything else in there, but I cannot taste. And they're like, oh man. I'm like, yay, COVID. So continued with that. We did the Thanksgiving and Christmas with the cinnamon rolls. We made thousands. I had staff come back that worked for me full time. They came back to help bake all of those. It was thousands. We sold out both holidays in 30 minutes. I had no idea that people loved them that much. And that was just cinnamon. There was cinnamon rolls like cookies at that point. And then after that, we did the same thing where it was weekly orders, because people were like, well, you're not just going to tease us with cinnamon rolls for 2 holidays and that's it. Like, you have to keep making them. I'm like, okay, we'll add cinnamon rolls back into the thing. So we bought more equipment, we got a sheeter, we got things to make things easier. And at that point, it was me and my daughter and my ex-husband doing all of the work every single week, which was great because we actually were able to pay all of our bills. We paid 2 mortgages, all of the other expenses and all that other kind of stuff. And we were still a debt-free company at this point. Like, that saved our butts the whole time. I mean, I'm still debt-free at this point, which is insane, especially after a divorce. That's like almost unheard of, you know? So financially, the bakery and this thing that I had built had been taking care of me this whole time. And so I'm like, okay, so the synergy is there. I just need to be able to have boundaries, right?
The big no word that we talked about earlier, did that come up?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because I've had all kinds of people. I mean, you know, even where I live now, they have asked if I would do this, that, and the other. I'm kind of like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. That's what my parents used to say. I didn't say no when I was a kid. I said I don't want to. So that's become the thing. So now that I'm looking at I'm actually not just looking at, we are in the process of getting things started again to make it to where it is 1 day a week and having order will be 1 day and a pickup 1 day and that's it. That's me saying no to the 100-hour work week. That's me saying no to all of the stress of that, but still, still being able to serve the community in a very limited capacity, but also make it to where I can still travel. I can still take on photography clients. I can do any of my 43 different hobbies if I want to. That's not an exaggeration. I've actually had 43 different hobbies.
What's your favorite one?
Right now?
Yeah.
In the moment?
Yes.
I just finished crocheting myself a scarf. I always do that every single year. So that's
really?
The most recent thing. I also play the accordion. I can sew. I know I can't redecorate my house, but I've done everything from all of those things: set decorating, mural, wedding planning. I've had so many different careers over all this time because I just need the variety of the different stuff. So I found that with doing cinnamon rolls and kind of keeping that to 2 days, I have 5 more days that I can do all of the other art things that I really want to do. And would OMG cinnamon rolls ever become a much larger thing? It's possible.
Now, you just said something.
Yes.
You just said OMG cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
I don't know if our listening audience or viewing audience knows what OMG cinnamon rolls.
Oh, what it is. Okay, so back when we were open with the bakery, with Spring Hill Bakery, OMG Cinnamon Rolls was a product.
Okay.
And the product of OMG Cinnamon Rolls was basically the everyday cinnamon roll, funky cinnamon roll of the day. Whether it was pineapple upside down cinnamon roll, s'mores, which was basically just an excuse for me to buy a blowtorch. But we had a different one every day. And so after about 45 days or so or whatever, I had all of these different cinnamon rolls that I had come up with. And all of that was in the midst of like the first Best of Spring Hill Award thing or whatever. And I was kind of like, what is it that I do that's different? And that is that I can create on the fly anytime I want. I can create something new. So between that and, you know, Spring Hill has the reputation of really super supporting things when it's new, and then it kind of fades off, and then a lot of businesses kind of go by the wayside. So I'm like, how do I keep people interested every single day? So I started doing a cinnamon roll of the day, and people would come in and they would look at all the cinnamon roll options and they would go, oh my God. And they would just be like, I want that one. And whatever the new one of the day is, people just, they freaked out about, but the thing that they said was, oh my God, that, I want that. So that's sort of how they got their name, is OMG Cinnamon Rolls. And I used to keep the door open between the kitchen and the front so I could watch people take their first bite. That's the best. Oh my gosh, it's the best thing with a new customer that sits down and they eat it. And their eyes either get really big or they close their eyes and their shoulders slump, and you can just watch them have that like ratatouille moment.
Yeah.
It's so good. I love watching people have that.
How did that make you feel?
Well, I mean, at the base, validated, but also like, ooh, I touched some part of your heart. Mm-hmm. That feels so good to like be able to do that for people. I did that with the cookies, you know, and even a lot of like the older customers that are, you know, 70, 80, 90, where they're like, oh, I haven't had anything like this since my mom was around. Like that is really cool. But then also having people even send me messages now and be like, oh yeah, we'd always get your cinnamon rolls for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And that was sort of like, we were so excited about that being like our every year kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry I took that away from you. But now with OMG Cinnamon Rolls, to an extent, I'll be able to do that for people again. And get to have that connection with people and be able to sort of be their now 40-something grandma and just feed them cinnamon rolls.
So you went from the 30s to the 40s.
You know what? That's what happens when you don't die, is you get older. Those are your options, really. So that's okay. I love it when I'm like, oh yeah, I'm, you know, going to be 42 in 5 days. People are like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I hope they're not lying to me. But I've also decided that it's better to lie up than it is to lie down about your age, because I could look like a fabulous 50-year-old or a really haggard 25-year-old, right? So yes, I will be 42 this year.
All right. So as you're approaching 42,
yes,
and you're looking back at, you know, your life, but let's really look about like entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. Is there something that you wish you would have done differently?
That's a really loaded question, because I have a whole list of things.
Well, okay. How about I phrase it for?
Okay.
If somebody, you've inspired lots of people to start their own.
Yeah,
companies.
I'm surprised, because people be like, oh yeah, I started this because of you. And I'm like, really? Like, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But yeah, it's really
awesome.
cool. It's really cool.
So for people who are thinking about, like, man, I've got this idea.
Yeah.
Any roadblocks that you came across other than your health that you're like, oh, if I would have just done that differently, that would have been?
Well, that's the whole like taking care of yourself. That's the whole, you know, like all that kind of stuff. But I mean, be wise when you choose your business partner. I would also maybe, I mean, for me personally, my experience, I probably would not have started it with my husband. I would have compartmentalized my private life and my work life so that my relationship could be my relationship and my work could be my work. Because it gets real, and a lot of people have started their business with their spouses, and I'm sure it's that, you know, especially if they're still together, the struggle to compartmentalize together business, work, and relationship. Mm-hmm. That's really challenging, because you don't want every single time you have a conversation to be about, this is what the business needs. This is, you know, whatever, we need to do this tomorrow, whatever. And it's kind of like, okay, cool. So we actually don't have a marriage anymore. All we have is a business partnership. We just happen to live in the same house, share all of the same bills, and also sleep in the same bed. So that would, for me personally, I'm like, don't do that. I guess other than that really is you don't have to say yes to every single opportunity. You should only say yes to the opportunities that you want to continue doing. If you want to be doing that work in 5 years, You say yes to opportunities that fit in with that. If it's a one-off or you don't think you want to do that, or you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to let them down, but I'm gonna say yes to this because I don't want to say no to the money or whatever. And it's kind of like, well, if you say yes to every opportunity, even the ones that you don't want to do, that when it comes to saying yes to the stuff that you do want to do, you might not have the time. So only say yes to stuff that you want to continue doing. That pushes you more toward the vision that you have for your business. Because that was the thing where we went wrong, where I said yes to everything because I was afraid I wasn't going to get any more opportunities if I didn't say yes to this one. And it was like, not all blessings are blessings. Not all opportunities are for you, and you are allowed to say no to them so that you can say yes to the right ones.
What about, do you think that people should be generalists, or should they focus on one thing and do that one thing very well?
I think there are benefits to both. However, whatever your vision is, you kind of have to be, either solidified in what it is that the ultimate goal of what you're trying to do, and say yes to things to get to that. Or if you are realizing that there are flaws in your vision, to be able to kind of adjust that to where it is more manageable, or it is the right kind of vision. Because when you get started, nobody knows what they're getting into when they get started. So they kind of have to learn on the way there. Or what is the end goal? Make people happy, bake for them. Whatever the thing is, it's like, cool. So what can I do to protect that vision? And then only do things that make it to where that's possible. So whether that's take time for yourself so you can rest enough so you can show up for those people and also show up for yourself. You say yes to this kind of stuff. This is sort of a curveball over here. You can explore it, right? But you don't have to say yes to it, kind of thing. I don't know. I hope that kind of answered the question. There was a lot.
And I mean, marketing's involved.
Yes.
What role has social media played for you?
Oh, huge, for sure. I mean, between like the I Heart Spring Hill page, because I started that when I first moved here, just getting to know people and joking around and all that kind of stuff. I've taken, especially with this particularly, but Spring Hill Bakery too. We were doing the marketing. We didn't have any help with it. My face telling people what the daily thing was, so I was very synonymous with the business. But it was great to be able to just be like, oh, hey guys, this is what we're up to today, or whatever. But social media for sure. Instagram, I think mostly Facebook though. That definitely helped a lot. Being able to talk directly to the customer was really helpful. And kind of helped us during the time when they shut part of Duplex down, and I had to figure out how to get people to the bakery without a major thoroughfare. Like the amount of different things that we had to do, and then the OMG cinnamon rolls actually had its own page that you could check every morning at 7:00 to see what the roll of the day was going to be. Because we didn't tell you ahead of time. You had to wait till that morning, and you had 30 minutes to get there by open.
No, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
Yeah. So it was fun. And it's still fun, like now getting to bring in different things. Like I have this really silly statue, Fauntleroy, where that was during, I'm like, you know what, I need to do something ridiculous. And I found this silly statue at Goodwill, and I'm like, cool. His name is Fauntleroy Dubois. He now is the spokesperson and tour guide for downtown Spring Hill. And so like talked about a lot of the other small businesses around where we were, and where you can park and where you can't park and all this other kind of stuff. So it's silly, but it works. And people are like, dude, she's weird, but we should be friends. I'm like, but you're right, I am weird. I know that about myself. That's not a bad word.
You've got some good advice for people who get on these local pages like I Heart Spring Hill, and they just kind of vomit their specials.
Yeah.
You didn't do it that way.
No.
What's your advice to people who want to get on those, have free advertising, but make a mark? I
love that you're talking about this, which is, I think that's the thing is, everybody has their own like micro community, or, if they grow up to a really big community, your own social media pages are where you talk to your community. So you can use outlets or larger amounts of, larger groups of people to go in and invite them to your party, invite them to be a part of your community, invite them to to your space where you can sell directly to them. And then so you're not talking to like the community at large, but treating the like Our Heart Spring Hill or anything else where they've got like 50,000 people that are on it, you are essentially fishing for your people. So once you fish for your people, once you get them, you take them back to your page and you sell to them there. So a lot of people don't do that, where they just go on and they just, this is what like what you said, this is what our specials are today. But you're not allowing the customers to come into your virtual doors to be a part of your community and learn more about you. Because there's only so much you can say on this page, especially because like with I Heart Spring Hill, they have upward of 200 post requests a day. Easy 200 a day. So if all of those were going on, that's 200 posts on Thursday that people are going to have to sift through. I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
I don't know how many other people are spending that much time. So if you do a really dynamic little short video or whatever and invite them to your space, then you can be as weird or whatever in your own space and tell them to bring their friends too. This is an open party.
Yeah, that's
the
really good
table's
advice.
really long. We're building it longer. Bring your friends.
So
yeah.
OMG cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
How do I get one?
Well,
how do they get one?
You're gonna have to wait until mid-December. I'm still in the process of, making sure I get all of the supplies and everything like that. Tentative, like second week of December at this point. And I say tentative because I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Once the website is up, if you go to OMG Cinnamon Rolls on Facebook and Instagram and you join the community, I'll be able to tell you exactly when it is going to be launched, but the omgcinnamonrolls.com is going to be where all of the ordering happens. You order on Tuesdays. I'm thinking 10 a.m. on Tuesdays because I really like alliteration. And that seemed to be about what most people said they could do. So 10 a.m. on Tuesdays
It's like when
is order.
tickets go on sale, right?
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah. 10 a.m. on Tuesdays. So you order. And you're going to want to get there fast because the last time that we sold cinnamon rolls, we had like 200 people waiting in the queue, waiting to put things in their carts and buy them immediately. Like be online at like 9:45 because I'm going to make sure that like ordering goes live exactly at 10.
So what's the cutoff?
As soon as they sell out.
Okay. What is selling out?
Selling out means I'm trying to
vomiting on I Heart Spring? No, I'm kidding.
No.
That's a different kind of sellout.
Yes. Yeah. We're not doing that kind of sellout. I'll probably make the marketing weird, but no. So I'm probably thinking about, I'm one person with two hands, factory settings, that's all you get. I will probably start with 24 dozen. So that's 72 4-packs. That's a lot. Right? 24 dozen. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm only going to do 24 dozen to start. So like, when's the last time any of you have made 24 dozen cinnamon rolls in 8 hours or however many hours I have? No. And so I'll start there. And then once I build back up my, stamina, we'll call it endurance, I'll probably be able to get up to about 32 dozen cinnamon rolls. That'd be 96 4-packs of cinnamon rolls. And that probably would be like my tap out point.
Okay.
And then they would have to wait till Saturday morning to come and pick them up. Also, wherever that location is, that will still be announced, but it will be within the city limits of Spring Hill.
Okay.
I had a place that was kind of locked down, but that has fallen through. So I didn't say anything about it because I didn't know where it was going to be exactly, and I don't want to give information that's. Yeah, but basically somewhere within Spring Hill, Saturday morning. I'm still trying to figure out if I can time slot it so people are not overwhelming whatever the parking situation is going to be. So to basically be like pick up between 8 and 9, 9 and 10, 10 and 11. And that'll be it. So it'll be order only. I know that a lot of people are going to be like, I didn't get there in time or what have you. I can only do what I can do. And at this point, if it grows into something bigger, as I have two different things where I can either keep it small or I can grow it into like a multi-location franchise kind of thing or whatever. I have both business plans written up. At that point, I kind of have to decide whether or not what way I'm wanting to grow it after I kind of get my feet wet and kind of get in the thing. So it's there. I have plenty of ideas of how to make this, all of these different wonderful things. Because I'd love to have the impact of, being the CEO of this company with, amazing work culture. Or if I want to just keep it small and eventually, buy my house and move all the operations to have a micro bakery at home, there's that too. So those are still things that I'm trying to figure out what I can handle. But the future's bright either way. There will still be cinnamon rolls. The goal is to be able to do it long term so that I don't have to let people down again and be like, I have to quit. So
again, tell people how to get there.
Okay, so
You
Facebook.
want to hear this?
Yes. So on Facebook, OMG Cinnamon Rolls. On Instagram, at OMG Cinnamon Rolls. Website is still under construction, but at that point it will be omgcinnamonrolls.com. And you'll be able to place your orders on Tuesday, 10 a.m. And you'll be picking them up on Saturday. And we'll have a few different time slots that you'll get to choose from. And cinnamon roll Saturday in the morning. 100 bonus points if you show up in your sweats to pick them up. The points don't mean anything, but you get 100 of them. So,
Speaking of OMG,
yes.
is there a place in Spring Hill that you like to go to that you're like, OMG?
Oh, like okay. Well, I mean, I have a list of restaurants that I regularly like to go to. For Mexican food, Don Arturo's. I think it's great. They make their tortillas at least the corn tortillas. I'm like, this is really good. I love that. Their margaritas are great. Let's see. There's a place, I guess it's not technically Spring Hill, but they did just open up kind of in that Neapolis area, like just right across from Spring Hill High School. Okay. Bruno's Deli.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that.
Dude, it's so good. Okay. It is so good. That's like the next, like, I love it. I mean, the bread was great. I had a pastrami sandwich. The bread was super good. It was like that brittle crust that crunches, but then like the sponge is super soft. It was, and then the pastrami. It was wonderful. For a really good burger, I actually just had it tonight for dinner, The Spot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love The Spot. If I have people come into town or whatever, I'm like, we're going to The Spot. Especially if they're from the West Coast. They're going to be judgy about like In-N-Out or whatever, and I think they're from California, so they tried to kind of do the thing. It's great as far as like Have you
had their chicken wings?
I haven't.
Oh, they're like this big. Each one's like this big.
So it's a I'm trying to think. I would be terrified of that chicken. That chicken could hurt you.
But they're really good. And what's funny is they're in the same place that many, many, many years ago, Beef O'Brady's was in. Okay. And I loved going there.
That was pre me being here.
Okay. They had the best wings in the city. The service was awful. Just like, it was the worst service ever. Like, so lazy and terrible. But I would just sit through it. And because the wings were so good.
Yeah, you know what? If the food is so good that you're willing to put up with bad service to get it, that's some good food.
Yeah.
That's some really good food. That's better than the other way around, right?
The
service is like okay-ish, and the food you're like, I've had better from Stouffer's. This is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like for Mexican, have you been to La Villa?
Yes. Yeah. I love that place.
So good.
I went in there the other night. I was actually really surprised at myself because I ordered in Spanish. I took 5 years of Spanish, and I'm like, okay, I feel like this is going to be a lot better than, apologies, lo siento. My Spanish is so bad. But yeah, what do you get when you go there?
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm like, okay, can I order in Spanish? Can I try? And they're all, sí, because
they're more happy that like at least you tried, right? Yeah. I mean, what's the alternative to sit up there and be like, I'll take 2 chimichangas? Like,
And what's funny is one of them had their kid there or their nephew, I don't know. Yeah. And they asked if he could speak English. So it was kind of like a little give or take. It was really cool.
I love that.
But I always get there just carne asada tacos. But they've got a good salsa bar. So I just, you get the cilantro, you get the onion over there, but then you can just load it up. And it's from El Paso. So I'm a kind of a snob when it comes to.
I'm from Southern California. Different kind of Mexican food for sure. Because just like here, the food is different depending on what region of Mexico you go to. But for sure.
Yeah. And
their carne asada tacos are excellent.
And there's a new place called Tacos El Patron.
Is that the one that's It's over by Cigar Station.
It is.
And all that. Okay, I haven't been there yet. How was it?
Go.
It's good.
Go right
It's
now.
Really good.
Like
well,
after, yeah.
it might be too late tonight. Do they do lunch?
They do lunch.
Okay.
But I think if we end this podcast now, we can try and go.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that sounds great.
All right, let's go.
Awesome.
All right, well,
I love it.
hey, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or me being here.
Yeah, but this has been wonderful. I love it.
Awesome.
So-
You've been watching and listening to Price's Highway, the podcast. Thank you so much.
While Stephen and Sarah go get delicious tacos, now would be a lovely time for you to like and subscribe on YouTube or your podcast platform of choice. Join the conversation at the Price's Highway Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Price's Highway. Thank you for joining us. This has been a Stephen Price Totally Terrible podcast production.